what we're going to talk about today is my trip to
Inside Out Onion Ring.
yeah, my trip to Disneyland. Disneyland, as you know, is a popular destination resort with rides. Went there with my brother and his wife. I was single. Again, as I mentioned before, Disneyland is not the best place to be a third wheel. Particularly in the ride fashion, seems to be 2x2, kind of like Noah and the Ark. And so we've been riding on some rides, and the log flume, or what's the one where you go down the big log one?
Some kind of nuts. What?
You know when you go down the log thing, it's kind of like the very end.
Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain, yeah. So Splash Mountain, that's not too bad because it's just a huge, big log, right? And there's no like seats. You just all sit in it. You hold handles, so that's not that big of a deal. But the Matterhorn just was recently renovated and opened that weekend that we were there. And we went in, and turns out that the Matterhorn is a double-seater ride cart, where the cart itself actually holds 4 people, but there's a division for 2-on-2. My brother and his wife sat, and let me give you a description. So the person in the back seat sits and then spreads their legs out, and then the next person sits in between those legs and kind of leans back on you. So I sat, my brother and my sister-in-law were behind me, and then I sat there, and it wasn't a crowded day. I mean, there were probably maybe 15 people in line is all for this ride, and for some reason they decided to go ahead and fill it to the brim. Well, it's just so happened that like a 16-year-old little Asian guy was the next one in line, and he was a single, looks like, and so yeah, they put him in there, and I was just like, wait, what's going on here? They're like, I'm sorry, we got to have every cart full. So basically I straddled this Chinese guy, right? He was, I think he was a little nervous with this ride, because when we sat down, he was, kind of like looking around.
Brokeback Splash Mountain.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of like looking around, and you know how kind of their hair's kind of really thick and kind of wiry, so it's kind of bouncing around. So we went in the Matterhorn, and my brother's just dying behind me, right? Because I'm basically straddling this Asian guy, and so we go up we start going down, and then like the first initial drop in there, it kind of freaked out the Chinese guy, and he just was kind of like, in his broken English, just kind of, oh no, going down, and just his hair just bouncing around, and anyway, it was pretty crazy, because after I got done, he was so nervous that he was actually laying back on my chest because he was kind of nervous. So when we finally came out, he was basically laying on my chest, and I never heard the end of that one. So yeah, so that's my story of what did you call it? Brokeback Splash Mountain. So I think we'll see you tomorrow morning on KDMJ.